I thought, wow, I never thought I would see him like this. And that's going to be the last image I have of him. Because I thought, oh, well, he's dead. This is it. I was scared that either my dad was going to end up dying from a crash on his bike or in jail. I said, there's only two outcomes I see of this. So I was terrified and I did not want to deal with that fear. So that's a huge reason why I didn't want to hear about it. I didn't want to know about it. I didn't even want to know if he was on his bike. And so the day I got the call that he was in a bike accident, I just had this gut-wrenching feeling that I was going to be right. And that was probably the scariest moment of my life.
How did you used to measure your life before everything changed?
There was a couple different ways, I guess. One was definitely money, income, toys, which were very important to me. And I did everything fast. I drove fast, I rode fast, and I went far. I put a lot of miles on.
How do you measure your life now?
I guess days without pain and better balance are definitely better days for me. So I would say that I measure it by how long I can stay in one place without having to move physically too far.
How would you describe Shane and your friendship with him?
Family, number one. Yeah, I mean, Shane, he's always been a guy I could call if I ever needed help or just want a good laugh or had a bad day, sit down, hang out, and just forget about what happened in that day. Yeah, I mean, best friend, like, love the guy. Yeah, that's family.
How would I describe Shane? I would describe Shane as like a big teddy bear type of person. For me anyway, he's always been kind of funny. He's had a good sense of humor and easy to bug and get along with. So I would say he's fun-loving type of guy. And ambitious. Got to throw that in because, Shane and I have known each other a long time and I've seen him going through a lot of different changes for sure. And, working insanely long hours to try to get ahead and provide a life for his family.
When you were moving and working, how did that make you feel about yourself?
Well, it was everything to me. It was my identity, it was who I was. I was the guy that got shit done.
We were always doing something extreme and crazy and fun. We were always camping, we were dirt biking and quadding, always planning trips to Vancouver Island.
Did you ever stop and think about who you were outside of work?
Yeah, I was never really a workaholic. I enjoyed the rewards of hard work, but I'd never really enjoyed the work itself. Any job that I had that paid me well, I typically didn't like the job, which is kind of strange, but I liked the money. And I liked the travel and the toys I could do because of that income.
I think Shane likely did carry everything alone. Not that he didn't have a support system, but I think, again, the way he's built is to be a protector and a provider, and he has this presence that he can handle and does handle anything that comes his way.
Looking back, what actually caused things to fall apart?
It was a bunch of different things. And it just seemed that they all happened at the same time. My business was failing. And then my wife was diagnosed with cancer. And then I had a motorcycle accident that caused a stroke. And things really fell apart. We had just filed for bankruptcy before that happened. So the burden was very heavy.
At that time, what were you telling yourself to get through it?
I guess I was telling myself that this too shall pass. But it didn't. Everything broke.
After I was diagnosed with cancer, it was a very quiet, hard time for us. We both were on a different path. I was trying to heal, and Shane was trying to make sense of life, and his business was, we put everything into the business, me getting healthy and being cancer-free, and there were so many unknowns then.
I think it got really heavy between my parents when my dad started showing signs of how he was coping with it. He used his motorcycle and his biker friends as an outlet. It was an escape for him. I think he hasn't dealt with fear very well. And I think that was a way of him kind of just escaping from the reality and fear of what my mom was going through. It led to some really life-changing traumatic events, how we cope with things.
When did you realize things weren't going to just pass?
I guess I was in the hospital after my stroke and the motorcycle accident. And then I had some decisions to make because I knew things weren't going to sort of themselves out. And it didn't matter how hard I was working at that time. Everything was just a mess. So at that point, yeah, I definitely accepted the fact that life is going to be very different now.
It felt normal because I feel like we have drifted before a few times in our relationship. It was written in stone that we were not going to be able to stay together. We'd always remain in each other's lives, I'm sure, but being able to support and help each other together was just, our lives were just too different. And things do change and feelings change. It felt like the distance was real, for real. There was no coming back from it.
Home life wasn't very good. I don't know why we reacted the way we did. Stress, I guess. We lived in the same house, but we were more like roommates. We were polite to each other, but did everything to avoid deep conversations. I didn't want to be at home, so I did everything I could to avoid that. For days at a time sometimes.
I had a lot of phone calls with my mom during that time, and she was very lonely. There was a hole forming between a wedge or whatever you call it. And then Dad would come, and he called me a few times and told me that he wanted to leave.
I don't know what I needed. If you don't know where you are and you're in your situation, it's hard to explain what you need. While I was recovering and trying to not be sick, Shane was always on his motorcycle, and he just loved the freedom and the sense of being, it was his identity, and it felt like he was actually like a normal human being or person when he was riding on his motorcycle, so free.
During the time when my mom had to be still and she had to heal herself, I think my dad tried to find what gave him joy as an independent person without having to really think about how anybody else is going to enjoy it or feel about it. That was his moment to kind of try and find himself. I think that's what was going on in his mind at the time.
I don't know if I was really searching too hard for anything, but I guess I wanted camaraderie. I wanted to be around men that were similar to me. So I was on my motorcycle. Every chance I got, I rode. So I was looking for some structure as well, outside of the house, outside of work. So I guess I was searching without a goal.
I was very angry about it. And disappointed of the direction he was taking it. My husband's a biker, and so I'm not a newbie to bikers and the lifestyle that brings. But I know that there's a difference. There's people who just love riding. And my husband, he needs it. He needs that to, in his personality, just that's who he is. And my dad, he was that kind of biker. But then knowing my dad and how everything needs an exaggeration level, exaggerated it to the point where it wasn't the biker lifestyle that I could be a part of, and nor did I want any part of it, nor did I want my family being any part of it.
When he joined the motorcycle club, my perception of it, on one hand, yes, a brotherhood, but on the other hand, the commitment to a group outside of your own family, outside of your own kind of social setting. Some of the things that I may have heard about that particular group wasn't an environment that I would want to be a part of. So I didn't like my friend, who I love dearly, going in that direction. I didn't understand the purpose because he's always had this family, he's had this wife, these kids, these friends, these peers. Why did he need that? I never understood it.
Looking back now, was there a cost to that?
Yeah, looking back, there was a huge cost to it. My family was the biggest cost. They were just, that sense of disappointment when you're doing something that your family doesn't agree with. That's what it was. But I just kept going. I was good at what I did. I was good in that scene. So it fit me. It was sunny, it was beautiful out, and I was going to meet up with some guys, and we were riding south to outside of Red Deer. And it was fun. We had a great ride down, just burning it up on the highway. Ride until tears were coming out of your eyes from riding so fast. And then
What actually happened?
we were just packing up to leave, and up the long driveway, got to the road, turned onto the road, and there was still quite a bit of gravel on the roads. And we were just coming, I just seen a railroad crossing sign. And for some reason, I just wasn't paying attention, I guess. I didn't notice one of the members stopped in front of me and pulled over a bit. I jumped on my brake and the back tire locked up, was skidding into him, and everything happened so fast. Certain parts of it are kind of like slow motion, but happened fast. I don't remember what went through my mind. Grabbed on the front binders. I knew I was going to hit, but I wasn't going very fast at that point. I'd slowed right down, I would say probably 15 to 20 kilometers an hour. But I knew I was going to hit him. So I was standing up at that point, and I dove off the right side of my bike so I wouldn't land on him. My bike hit his bike, cracked his saddlebag. That was really the only thing I did, the only damage I did to his bike. I went into the ditch and definitely knocked the wind out of me. I just felt like lifting a bag of crushed gravel. My whole upper body felt very broken. I actually walked out of the ditch, up to my bike. Things started getting a little fuzzy at that point, but I remember thinking I could ride home. I was good enough. My buddies were like, "No way, man. You are not getting on that bike." So I appreciate that, guys. One of the members' wives was there and had her truck. So I said, I better get to the hospital. And then we were pulled out onto the highway, and I was not feeling good at all. So I remember telling him, "I don't think I'm going to make it. I think I'm dying. I think we need to find a closer hospital." So one of them, the people in the truck, pulled out their cell phone and said, "Well, the Red Deer Hospital is like 20 minutes away." So I said, "Yeah, let's do that. Let's turn around and head back into Red Deer." That was a good decision. The next thing I remember, I was in Edmonton in the hospital.
The day of the accident, I had coffee with Shane on the back deck, and I was sitting around and we had this conversation, and for some reason I felt the need just to say that You know, if I wasn't sick and it was before, we would be on the motorcycle together and going and doing our fun thing, not with his friends. And so in that moment, I don't know, there was a glimmer of hope for us. And Shane said, why don't you go to our friend's place? Because we were invited to our friend's place at the lake and we were going to have dinner with them. And I'll meet you there. And I said, great. That was very exciting to me. So Shane was going to go for a bike ride that day and then meet me at the Carmichaels. So Shane texted me around dinner time and said he was on his way, and I was like, okay. Then the next thing I knew, we were in contact with the critical care nurse at the ER in Red Deer, and she explained to me that Shane had extreme fractures and was on life support and intubated. And I'm like, I was very shocked. I thought he just hurt his shoulder, so I immediately was like, I felt like I needed to get to him. Nothing else mattered. It was just get to Shane. And then the nurse said, don't go anywhere because Shane was going to be airlifted to a hospital in Edmonton. So I called the kids and let them know that things were not good.
Just had this feeling that she's not calling me for good news. And at first I thought it was because of her, like something happened to my mom. And something was wrong, but no, she said, I don't want you to get worried. Don't freak out because I don't know yet, but your dad was in an accident on his motorcycle. I don't know much, but I'm gonna find out and I'll call you back. And then Rick's like, we have to go. This is not good news. We can't stay here. You have to be there.
We showed up at the ER at about 3 o'clock in the morning that day, and it was a very long day. And then in the ER, in the trauma room, one of the doctors said, so when did Shane have his stroke? And I was shocked that he said that because we didn't know he had a stroke. And so we found out that same day, but all the doctors and the nurses and all the care were more worried about him breathing, and he had a punctured lung and broken ribs and torn aorta, and there was just this huge list of things that had to get better before they acknowledged the stroke part of his injuries.
When I got the call from my mom and she told me that my dad was in critical condition, first thing she said was, I hate that I have to make this call. And I just knew something happened. Something happened to my dad. I was actually waiting for that call to happen. My mom and my sister showed up at the hospital waiting for my dad to show up from Red Deer. My mom told me that she would call me when he arrived and that I would then go to the hospital to see him. So my mom and my sister already had a glimpse of my dad and the condition that he was in. So when I arrived at the hospital, my mom was preparing me for what I was about to see.
Did it change how you saw him?
Yeah. Like, he's a huge person. He's so tall, and he's always been very broad and big, you know. That's one thing. My dad is a giant to me, you know. But seeing him like that, he was so small to me. I was like, that was my dad who, like, I've seen him hurt. I've seen him laid up.
Waiting for test results, sitting in the waiting room at the ICU. It was just the worst feeling I had ever felt in my life, because we had no idea what they were going to tell us next. And it felt like every hour we were learning about new injuries, new conditions that he was in. And the doctor comes in and was giving us an update of all of his test results. And my dad's eyes were finally completely open. And we were just trying to understand what he was saying by mouthing words, because he had a tracheostomy and he couldn't talk. So we were trying to understand what he was saying by him mouthing words to us. And the doctor had mentioned his stroke. And I was looking at my dad, and I saw this. His eyes went wide open, and he looked at me from the side, and then he mouthed, I had a stroke. And I could tell what he said. And I think in that moment, just seeing him scared for the first time, my dad's always put on such a tough shell. I've never seen my dad scared. And we had been begging him to take his next breath when he was sedated. And we're like, please fight for this. Fight for us. I'm like, you're gonna get through this. And we kept on telling each other, Dad's gonna get through this. He loves us enough that he's gonna fight for his life. So he finally wakes up and learns that, and then I see how scared he was, and it almost made me feel guilty that I begged him so hard for him to fight for his life, because all of a sudden that moment I knew this is not going to be a life that my dad wants to live. And so I just told myself, okay, if my dad does everything he can just to be alive for us, then it's up to us to give him a life worth living.
What was it like when everything stopped?
It was terrifying. I guess everything really did stop when I heard that I had a stroke. So I think I had been in the hospital now for about 13, 14 hours. And I heard the doctor talking to my wife and my daughter. And he asked them if they knew when I had my stroke. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't talk, so I couldn't ask any questions. My life stopped at that moment.
He had a long time in the ICU to recover from some pretty major injuries, punctured lung, and all the list of injuries that he had. Then they started addressing the fact that he had a stroke and diagnosing where the stroke came from. And then they told us that he had a broken blood vessel in his neck, and that caused his brain to bleed. And so he was paralyzed from on the left side. And he looked at me and he said, "Smoky." And I could see his lips moving and everything stopped. And my heart was just like broken for a minute, and I didn't know what to say because I didn't want to say yes. Smokey is a gentleman that when Shane was a teenager, he hung out with Smokey a lot, and he was a quadriplegic, and he was very close to him. And I just knew that Shane, the fact of him living a life like that would be very, very difficult.
I was nobody without being able to move. It's not a life worth living. So I was done, emotionally and mentally done.
I felt like my mom was very strong in that moment. She was very patient, which I'm very thankful for. But when they finally started telling us a bit more, there was this like darkness that fell over my mom in that moment that was, Shane's not gonna wanna live like this.
Did you try to approach recovery the same way you approached everything else before?
It took me a little bit. Like once I got out of ICU, they put me in the stroke ward. I was working with a therapist there, and I thought, you know what? People can live through stuff like this. They can still have a rewarding life. And I had my daughters there, my son was there, my wife, my granddaughter was up visiting at the same time.
Woohoo! Yeah!
I thought, I need to be an example to these kids that when life gets hard, we dig deep. So I started digging deep. It was a bit of a pivotal moment for me. And I thought, you know what? I'm never going to turn down an opportunity to progress. And I haven't. So I pushed the therapist as much as they pushed me. I went as hard as I possibly could. So yeah, I guess I still had that same work attitude and mentality.
What did you believe would happen if you worked hard enough?
At first, I thought, I'm going to be able to walk again. So that was my goal, was to get my arm back and to get my left leg working. So I thought that, I thought I could outwork the stroke.
Was there a moment where that belief started to break?
Yeah, they had moved me out of the stroke ward. And down to Pinoca, to the Halvard Johnson Center for Brain Injury. And I loved it. It was going great. And then I hurt my good knee. I was at home for a weekend visit and took a stumble on the stairs and just tweaked my good leg. So that was pretty devastating for me. Kind of put me back to where I was before, back in the stroke ward. So I started losing that fight and spirit a bit. It didn't last long though.
Can you describe a time when you did everything right and nothing changed?
So I got released on May 2nd, 2025.
Good job, Dad.
And I was definitely walking better. Well, I was actually walking. I could walk short distances without the cane or with a walker. But it just seemed like I was stuck now. This was as good as it was going to get. Then I started going to outpatient therapy at the Glenrose Rehabilitation Hospital. And they kicked me in the butt and got me going again. Found that fighting spirit again. So there were times going through that where I just didn't think I was progressing. Just felt like I was stalled. My body wasn't keeping up with where I thought it should have been. So through the whole journey, it's just as much, if not more, of a mental head game than it is physical, for myself anyway.
Was that realization painful or freeing or both?
Yeah, I was right about the same time that I pretty much accepted my destiny now. I wasn't going to outwork this thing. It was a huge letdown. But at the same time, I started feeling inspired. And I started digging into videos and movies of people that have overcome tragedy and trauma and physical disabilities. And there are a lot of great stories out there. I think I started off by watching Forrest Gump. And Hope Forrest inspires me. The movie Rudy, the short football player from Notre Dame. Very inspirational. So I just started watching a lot of this type of content. I eliminated all negativity, would only surround myself with positive people and positive content. So from that aspect, it was very freeing. I could feel the weight getting lighter, started accepting the fact that I got to figure out how to make a buck now, being crippled up. So I spent a lot of time focusing on that, and that was kind of exciting.
Did you see a change in Shane after his stroke?
Yes. Trying to describe that. I seen my own perspective, how I always said old Shane is back.
We're gonna dine with kids. Have the funniest things. Carve our names in stone.
Well, I'm at a really fun part of my journey now because I've made some decisions. I've done a lot of work. I spent about 4 to 6 hours a day on the computer learning. I've chosen to be a filmmaker. I started a podcast when I got back from Panoka, and that's been a great experience for me. It's kind of been my therapy, and I've shared my journey on there, and I've had to learn a whole bunch about video editing, posting, file correction, color correction, things like that. So that's been really good for me. So I feel energized. And now we're making this movie. Imagine that, from owning a plumbing company to crippled and then now making a movie. Who knows what I can do?
I think going through his feelings and documenting it and his progress and everything, all the challenges that's been thrown at him since the accident, I think documenting it in a way of him doing a podcast and wanting to kind of put himself out there in hopes to inspire other people or just reflect and share his story. I think it's been a really helpful tool for him, because I see him comparing himself a lot. He's always comparing himself to others and comparing himself to himself. So I think being able to go back through his story and see where he's at now and comparing himself to where he was a year and a half ago in these videos is also extremely helpful for him, to give him a perspective of how far he's come and how hard he's worked. And I think that it's been a good tool for both of my parents, because my mom helps him a ton with filming, and it's been just a cool project for them to both work on together. And so it's been pretty fun.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's something in mortality that reminds us that we need to be close to the ones who love us the most and will be there for us in our weakest moments. And I feel like he's really embraced that and is able to recognize other people and their love for him and accept that that's enough. Our love for him is enough, you know?
I'm just happy that he didn't give up. There were moments when we talked that I didn't know or think that he wouldn't. And I'm glad that he didn't. We need him. We all love him. He's got a lot of time left. This is something none of us wanted to happen, but he survived it. He's moving through it, so I'm glad. I'm glad he didn't give up. Of course I was gonna cry. I love him dearly. A lot of who I am today is because of him. So I'm glad he's here.
So we get through a whole bunch of really tough parts in life, and Shane works his butt off to recover, and he talks and just therapy, and he took every advantage of every moment of every class and rehab that was offered to him.
Yeah, I've had answers now. I have answers in my life now. My relationship with my wife and my family has never been better. And this new direction for a new career is liberating.
We just started talking openly and getting things out and being honest and just being so glad that we had each other. I feel like our family is healing.
What keeps me going? Fear. Fear keeps me going. The fear of not being able to provide for my wife. The fear of not being a good example for my grandkids and my children. I've always shot for the stars. Now just walking across the room to get to the washroom, it's a pretty big achievement for me. Well, I love being present now. Love being at home. Love being with my wife, my kids. When they're around, I'm just so happy. I'm not going to let this stroke get the best of me.
What are you choosing to do now that you didn't do before?
Love. Choosing to be a partner. Choosing to be a good husband. Good father. Great grandfather. Not a great grandfather, but a really good grandfather. Choosing to be happy. Choosing to be okay with who I am now. The word staying now means a lot of different things to me. I guess number one, I'm gonna stay with my wife. I'm gonna stay with me. Can't run away from me. I can't run away from my physical disabilities. I can't run away from my responsibilities as a provider and a leader of my family. I'm being honest with myself and everyone around me. Don't try being something I'm not.
I think it's cool. He's a very creative person. He's choosing to be a storyteller as his hobby or his life goal or whatever this becomes. I'm actually really excited for him to find something to have that creative outlet in, and it's fun for him.
It totally does. It totally does. I mean, he still loves to talk. He still loves to be the center of attention, I'm sure. And once this takes off, he'll love it even more. Yes, it totally fits who he is now. Absolutely. Yes, very much so. He likes to be heard. And he has a lot to say, and he has a lot that people still can learn from him. So I think it fits perfectly.
Are you done? Did you not record it?
Yeah.
Is the red light on?
What is going on?
Just getting a moment.
No. Oh, tell me you're recording.
Is the mic on?
Oh my gosh.
Just trying to pinpoint one. Can we cut?
Yeah. Just take a break.
Like, was that your cue for me to tell like the same story, or like I was like, am I supposed to say this one?
So how long till this is like out?
That's it.